Freddy News, where operators tap in and pretenders tap out. This that Freddy News, yeah, we run it up. Auto tech business, built from the dust. No fluff, no cap, just the real playbook. John on the mic, yeah, you better tune up. This that Freddy News, where the stories hit. From the deals to the data to the culture shit. If you're building something, this your lane. Freddy Media, yeah, we changed the game. Early mornings, calls coming in, no sleep. From the lot to the feed, yeah, we play for keeps. Creators with trust, not rented attention. Every move intentional, built with precision. Dealers want growth, brands want reach. We connect both sides, now they finally meet. If it don't convert, then we cut that weight. Turn small plays into real estate. Freddy, hey, Freddy Media run the play. Freddy, hey, if you know, we don't play. Let's get to work.
Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome to Freddy News. I'm John Frederick, the founder and CEO of Freddy Media. We're going to try and get through 7 headlines. We have scoured the internet for you, and we're going to get through them in under 10 minutes so you can get back to your real job. Let's kick it off with the first story. A homeowner in California who owns a $4.8 million home that is in close proximity to the headquarters of Anthropic in Mill Valley. I'm not a California guy. Apparently that's near Anthropic headquarters. He has listed his home for sale in kind of an off-market listing. And instead of going to Zillow, he created a LinkedIn listing. And he said the only monetary consideration that he would take in exchange for this home would be shares of Anthropic. So this is starting a whole new way to sell your real estate. If you have a hot startup and your home is near that startup, you should list it on LinkedIn and say the only thing you would take in exchange for the value of your home would be shares in that startup. So way to go for this guy for basically creating his own angel list, because this is a pretty creative way to sell your home. Let's get to the next one. So the Chinese startup Manus, who we've done a few influencer engagements with Manus before. They're a really cool platform that kind of enables the Shopify style e-commerce community. And it allows an entrepreneur to basically set and forget their social media advertising. So Manus has been acquired, or they're in the process of being acquired by Meta. And then a few weeks ago, the canary in the coal mine was the Chinese government took the passports of the founders, and so they were not allowed to leave the country. Then this morning, the Chinese government is blocking this deal altogether. They're trying to make sure that their best AI companies stay on the Chinese homeland. And it's hard for us to kind of like get mad at China for this sort of thing, because I feel like we just did the same thing with TikTok. I wonder if this is tit for tat. I don't know enough about it. But Manus ain't going anywhere. It's remaining a Chinese AI platform unless Mark Zuckerberg can pull off something special here. Let's get to the next one. So this is one of those trends. Everybody's losing their job to AI, and the genius employees of Microsoft weren't exempt from that. However, this is a little bit of a different thing. Microsoft is deciding to lay off 7% of its workforce. And what they did is they just offered everybody early retirement. So all of their retirement accounts vested, and they offered people a pretty good golden parachute. This is a nice way to basically reinvest in AI. But the problem is, all these people lose their jobs. And then also, are we at the point of the adoption curve with AI yet where we really know enough about the costs? I drone on about this all the time, but if Microsoft is going to basically just lean on junior developers, I don't know who they laid off to use AI to do all the development that they would have otherwise done, or the sales outreach they would have otherwise done. I wonder what this looks like when the demand for AI is so high that the tokens are so expensive that it might have been cheaper just to keep the other people in place from the start. But let's get to the next one. Some good news for Detroit. Stellantis is turning it around. Stellantis sales have surged by 4% in Q1, driven by gains in Ram, Jeep, and Dodge. Everybody counted Stellantis out, and they've been making a few Hail Marys. They've been selling a few car dealerships to Carvana lately. Everybody's all the dealership communities are fighting against Carvana. Stellantis threw their hands up and said, you guys take the wheel. We will allow our dealers to sell to you. And they've seemed to have found a pretty good partner there, because the first store that was acquired by Carvana actually became the #1 Stellantis store in their region. My friend Elliot Shore bought a Stellantis store in Ohio, I think 2 years ago, and he just sold his store to Carvana. I'm not sure that Carvana is responsible for the surge in stock, but it sounds like Stellantis is executing a strategy, and I think this is a good thing for the country. Let's get to the next one. So with the war raging on in Iran and basically, the Strait of Hormuz being closed, fuel prices around the world are increasing. And apparently this has basically stopped summer air travel plans for everyone in Europe. The fuel prices in Europe are very high. I think America's protected a little bit, but apparently it's being felt much harder in Europe. I was on the phone with somebody who was in Eastern Europe this morning, and the first thing he asked me was, how much is gas in America? Is it as high as it is here? So I think in America, we're slightly insulated from this, but in Europe, they are getting crushed by fuel prices, and that's prohibiting the fun summer travel plans. And that's usually the first thing to go. We're not going to spend on extravagance, but hopefully it ends there. We can get this thing wrapped up before it starts getting into actual necessary things. So General Motors expects to get a $500 million tariff refund after the Supreme Court has ruled that the Trump's original tariffs were illegal. So General Motors has been shifty enough to basically put their hat in the ring and sue the federal government, and they're expecting a refund of $500 million. This would be really consequential for General Motors. I know they kind of lost a ton of money on EV development, but it looks like their executive team knows how to work around Detroit and DC and find a way to win money back. So it seems to be that General Motors is going to claw back $500 million based on the tariffs being illegal. It's weird how you find some strange bedfellows, because I think everybody was on board with these tariffs, then everybody hates them. But then when the dust settles, you can see the giant companies, they went ahead and got their money back right away. Let's get to the last story. So Elon Musk is building this entire SpaceX community in Texas. It's kind of like its own city. I think it's called Starbase, and he's investing a ton in order to build the infrastructure around SpaceX in Texas. He's committed to being there. I know that Delaware courts kind of crushed him on a Tesla ruling about 5 years ago, and he was tied up in court forever in order to get his compensation package that the board voted yes on, and then a few activists voted no on. So before he IPOs SpaceX, which is likely to be the largest IPO in world history, well, maybe Aramco was bigger, it'll be the biggest one in US history. He wants to shore up the laws in America so that no activist investor can fully take control of SpaceX. His justification is government contracts, this and that. But what he wants to do is make sure that if any activist investor wants to take control of SpaceX, they have to negotiate with SpaceX first. This would be unprecedented in Texas. That's not quite how things work, but he's trying to get his ducks in a row before the IPO. So I'm looking to see how that plays out for Elon. He tends to get special treatment, so I'd imagine this will go through. That's it for Freddy News. Thank you for jumping on today. It's great seeing everybody, and get back to work.
Freddy News, where operators tap in.